岁月静好。岁月静好，难免会遇到风险，为自己，为家人，增添一份保障，美好生活，太平相伴。 岁月静好，难免会遇到风险，为自己，为家人，增添一份保障。美好生活，太平相伴，保险就是保太平。
各位嘉宾、各位同仁、各位朋友，大家好！中国太平保险集团很高兴成为本届 Beyond 国际科技创新博览会生命科学峰会的联合主办方。在此，我代表中国太平对各位出席生命科学峰会表示热烈欢迎，对澳门科技总会精心组织这一活动表示衷心感谢。中国太平是我国历史上持续经营最为悠久的民族保险品牌，也是唯一一家管理总部在粤港澳大湾区的中管金融企业。近年来，中国太平快速发展，连续5年入榜财富世界500强。2021年，总保费达到2175亿元，总资产突破1万亿元。管理资产规模接近2万亿元，已成为一家拥有50多万名内外勤员工、24家子公司和2000余家营业机构的大型跨国金融保险集团。中国太平长期立足港澳，深耕大湾区，聚焦保险主业，发挥跨境经营优势，积极促进香港、澳门融入国家发展大局。今年是中国太平服务澳门70周年。70年来，中国太平积极助力澳门经济社会发展，热情服务澳门民生，与澳门社会和广大居民建立了密切联系。中国太平高度重视医疗健康产业发展，努力成为推动健康中国战略实施的重要力量。“14·5”期间，集团将全力打造保险加医康养生态圈，全面构建支付有保险、服务有平台、照护有社区、看病有医院的保险及医康养产业生态圈，努力实现保险与医疗健康产业双向赋能，携手发展。去年，澳门科技总会成功举办首届 Beyond 国际科技创新博览会，为推进科技领域交流与合作，助力澳门相关产业发展，更好发挥澳门引进来和走出去的桥梁作用，产生了积极成效。我们相信，本届博览会将在加强信息交流、探讨合作机会、助力产业发展等方面取得更大的成果。衷心祝愿本届博览会圆满成功，祝各位身体健康，太平吉祥。谢谢大家。
But for the discovery, so from medical doctor perspective, I think the most important is how to find the right biomarker, and also how to find what is the both target for the potential indication that we are targeting. So that for that one, I think most important from all the standing point of the discovery. And also, following process is also critical, but I think the target biomarker is always the first priority from my end.
Good point, good stuff. And now let's move on to Mr. Huang Hai. So what's your understanding of it? What do you think should be the priority right now from your understanding? Something different.
Thank you. First off, Fuxing products, CAR TCL, have been very successful in treating blood cancer. The priority from now on is to enable the revolution cancer treatment technology to benefit more patients. Toward this end, there are several priorities in our research and development programs. First is developing new better products that can expand CAR T treatment for additional blood cancer and other liver cancers. This is the first. So many clinical trials are ongoing to test these new products and new indications. The second is developing technologies that can reduce price and to make this product affordable. So this is including new technologies for more efficient manufacturing process, and as well as a new type of CAR T cell therapies that are not individually. So can universal CAR that can be used off-site. And with the successful CAR treatment for blood cancer, now is proactive, we develop effective CAR T products for solid tumor, which affect much larger patients populations. There are different clinical challenges for treat solid tumor than blood cancer. We are developing technology to overcome these challenges. We foresee breakthrough in the near future in this area. There are now clinical trial indications. The promise of the revolutionary CAR T cell therapy to cure cancer. So one of the top priority is what we understand and what are key future cancer cure that has been observed in some patients. Then develop technology to this future. We are hope for cancer cure, it be developed by our industry. So I think innovation for cell therapy, even for cancer cure, is our priority. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. I know that Fuxing is dedicated to the advancement of innovative cell therapy. And of course, you have this document called Yes Carter, and later we'll go back to that question. And now let's move on to Mr. Jin Song over here, who is the Vice President of Sino Biopharm. So what's your understanding of it? I know that your company has a lot of focus, including oncology, hepatitis, cardio, cerebral, and respiratory systems. So what do you think should be the priority right now, especially at this point when coronavirus is still quite rampant?
好的，谢谢主持人。这个对于新药研发的这个首要任务啊，我想在业界
Sure. Drug discovery, in terms of its priority, different companies have different focuses in the industry. But most recently, China's focus, the government's focus on new drug discovery has been quite clear. For example, last year, there was a new guideline that was issued by the government that provided a very clear direction for various pharmaceutical companies to develop innovative drugs and conduct clinical trials to fulfill unmet clinical needs in order to provide safer, more convenient, and more effective therapeutic options. So this has also been a long-standing and consistent priority for us at Sino Biopharm. For example, in oncology, we all know that including cancers, with lung, stomach, and kidney, and there's only medicine to control the progression, but no cure for these cancers. And so we focus a lot on the development of cancer drugs. So we put these developments at the top priority. For example, we have a number of medicines for oncology and that are indicated for a number of cancers. And these are in clinical trial stage. And once they are approved in the future, we believe it will provide very good options for patients. We're also looking at innovation in a number of other areas, especially with hepatitis B, which is also a very important public health issue. A lot of the existing therapies can't really address the issue completely. So we are focusing on developing new drugs to address this issue, to develop effective cures and meet the needs of the market and patients. In terms of respiratory diseases, we are looking at chronic respiratory diseases to develop innovative drugs to treat these diseases, to fulfill the long-term needs of patients. So from our standpoint, our top priority with innovative drug discovery and development is to fulfill unmet needs in the market for patients to better treat diseases. Thank you.
We know that you have a lot to focus on hepatitis and especially, as mentioned, the clinical trials. And of course, your three companies have all like different areas in your research and development. And I have this question for Dr. Shidongmei over here. So much of Merck's focus is on endocrinology, immunology, and oncology. Yeah, the same thing, the same area that you have with Sinopharm here is that oncology. And in 2021 alone, investment in research and development stood at around 2.4 billion euros. And that's a lot of money. In the meantime, Merck serves as a provider of raw materials. I know that is one of your specialties for all of the medical companies and enterprises around the world. So can you further elaborate on that?
Okay, thanks for the question. But before I clarify regarding how the healthcare R&D status, I'd like to clarify first regarding on the structure of the Merck. Actually, in Merck, we have three different sectors, including healthcare. This is why I'm here. And another one is life science and electronic. So what we think the material is actually from the life science, and also life science not only provides the material for the drug development, but also they are providing a lot of material to the, for example, the Pfizer's COVID vaccine, and also they are providing some genome analyze and also a lot of CDX material. So, but back to the healthcare R&D. So actually, I would mention a little bit that actually we have totally different landscape comparing the already marketed product and in pipeline product. So for the marketed product, actually our strongest business actually is from CM&E, from the cardiovascular, from endocrine disease, and another one actually is from fertility. And I think is we have the most strong position of the world in the fertility area, which is to helping the couples to have children. I think this also in line with what China's central government is trying to boosting this area. And also we saw, I think in August, a series of policies released to boost this area. So another one is actually what in line with the inland pipeline is the oncology, immunology, and the neurology, and also including some rare disease. This is currently the R&D focus. So back to the oncology, I think oncology pipeline, we are a little bit different. So first we have a very, very good platform, research platform to deliver the biologics, bispecific biologics, And also we even have bispecific ADCs. And another platform from oncology is we have a very strong DDR pipeline, so which is already in the phase 2 stage, and we are targeting to have a very near filing in the next 2 years. And also we have a pretty interesting licensed in molecules, for example, Zavalankoff, which this is can synergize with the chemo and radiation therapy, and now we're already in the 2 big phase 3 stage in the head and neck squamous. So for oncology, we'll have more products to come to the POC and phase 3 ends in the next few years. So for immunology, we also have several very promising products. For example, we have the first-in-class TL78, and which already in the CLE and SLE, so the lupus global phase 2 stage. So in the POC stage, and China is part of that. And also we have another 2 very good portfolio, which means Tacicept. So I think Runchang have a similar molecule with ours, but they already get the SLE already marketed in China, nothing 2 years ago. So we need to catch up. And also for neurology, we have we are trying to be the first in class BTKI in RMS. So, and also this already very close about 2 phase 3 stage. And besides MS, also we have a new licensed in the similar molecule, but in different formulation. And we're trying to indicate or further develop in other neurology and also immunology indications. So in general, we have a pretty enriched pipeline in oncology, neurology, and immunology. So, and also we're looking forward to have a more collaboration, not only with the international farmers, but also to have with the local farmers. So this is
you talked about immunology and oncology, and I know that 2 very important areas of your research and development. And you also mentioned a very interesting point, that is the COVID vaccine. So I think you have brought up this very interesting question when it comes to COVID prevention. So I have this question for 3 of you here. So when it comes to COVID vaccine, what has your company been doing to stem the spread of coronavirus? Let's start with you again. Yeah, Dr. Fu.
Okay.
So yeah, so when it comes to COVID, I mean, long COVID is a problem for many people, actually, not only in China, but in other parts of the world. What do you think should be done to stem the spread of long COVID? And I know there would be a lot of other symptoms after the COVID. So what are they and what we have been doing?
Okay, that's a good question. So actually at the beginning of 2020, so when we have the COVID, and what Merck could do is trying to have a kind of overview of our internal pipeline, so which molecule may have the potential. So no matter from to prevent the symptoms or to reduce the symptoms, but honestly, we do not have any vaccine basis to develop a real COVID vaccine. That's why we're trying to synergize our internal pipelines to prevent the symptoms. And also we do 1 clinical trial. So actually leveraging our BTKI. So what I said that in the late phase 3 RMS study, so this molecule also have the potential to reduce the symptoms, especially for the patient who have mild or pretty severe symptoms patients. But honestly, after the phase 1 expansion, so we see that, yeah, this really, some patients can benefit, but it's not reached our permanent point. So that's why we put it on hold. So this is so that's why we changed the direction to our life science, because we can provide a lot of materials. So that's why we are one of the key contributor to biotech Pfizer's COVID vaccine. And then I think this already benefit the patient, all the population of the world. So that's what Merck could do.
Yeah, that is what you have been doing, a provider of raw materials for many international medical enterprises. And I have this same question for Mr. Jinsong over here. I know that one of your areas, your specialties, is respiratory system. So what have you been doing to deal with COVID at this point? Hello?
I'm sorry, I didn't open the microphone. Okay, I think 疫苗这个疫情的这个
So for the since the outbreak of the pandemic of COVID, it has impacted societies everywhere and also caught the attention of the pharmaceutical industry. Effective prevention and curing the diseases related to the pandemic has become a top priority for our industry. For infectious diseases, the most important thing should be prevention. And it will be the most effective way for on a public health perspective to prevent the contagion of the disease. So in terms of prevention and treatment, as you all know, in the very beginning of the pandemic, we put in a lot of investment into the development of Sinovacs. And we provided a lot of resources and assistance to facilitate the rapid launch of Sinovac. And consequently, we also worked with many partners. We also focused closely on the treatment drugs for COVID, and we made some new drug discoveries and are now in the process of clinical trial stage 2 in the US, and we are also applying for second stage clinical trial here in China. We believe that the discovery of the new mechanism that we are currently undertaking will lead to very good results in the prevention and treatment of COVID. So looking forward to the completion of the second and third stage.
I know that your company is dedicated to innovative cell therapy, as you said just now, especially there is this, you call it, the treatment is called Yescarta. It is the first approved CAR T cell therapy for adult patients with certain types of, you call it non-Hodgkin lymphoma. But before that, how about long COVID? We have been talking about COVID vaccine, and what has your company been doing?
For my company, we have some challenges is different versus normal drugs. Firstly, the supply chain is very, very important for cell therapy. So it's a timing we enhance our supply chain. Actually, during the COVID challenge in Shanghai, we are doing very well. And secondly is we need to see whether for one site, an additional plan B, have additional site to fulfill the needs in the market. You know, for cancer, for blood cancer, even with the COVID challenges, but the cancer is there. They need the support. So yet hard. We did a very good, especially COVID-19 challenges. Our teams stay in the manufacturing and keep after the drugs. So Yescarta get the FDA approval, and they have the same challenges, but China, our side, is doing much better, even versus the US. And also,
you talk about supply chain. That is one of the difficulties you are faced with right now. And here we have Dr. Xu Dongmei, who said that her company is a provider of raw materials for many companies. And I know that you are part of the supply chain over here. So what do you have on that, Dr. Xu?
Okay, so
I don't know if you three know each other, but you are all in this healthcare management industry. Probably you know each other. And then so Mr. Huang said that supply chain is a problem. So how about your contribution to the supply chain? You said that you're a provider of raw materials.
Yeah, so I would say the supply chain is a super huge challenge to all the pharmaceuticals for all the supply chain, I would say. So the good thing is we trying to we're trying to have plan A and plan B for almost all the business. So just to reduce the risk of some like the COVID city shutdown. So this kind of emergencies or urgent things. So because we have a plan A and plan B almost for every step of the clinical supply chain, so that's why during the past 3 years COVID, so we still could work it out, fund one of the potential possible solutions to provide the raw materials due to some company. We do have some challenge. I remember, I think in end of May of last year, early to May of 2021, we do also facing the challenges, but we also know this raw material is super important to all the partner companies. That's why globally and also in China, we did a lot of efforts to do that. And also, I think also our supply chain, our manufacturer side, a lot of employees, they sacrificed a lot. So for example, they living in the manufacturer side, trying to secure that the on-time clinical supply chain, and also make sure finally will benefit the patient. So I would say the first, I think in summary, 2 points. Firstly, we have plan A and plan B. Sometimes we will have plan C and D, so which makes that we can have a pretty smoothly readiness to meet the customer's requirement. And secondly, that our supply chain is mainly contributed by all the employees, their dedication and also their hard work during the COVID period. So this is what I want to share.
Yeah, so I mean, you are a provider of raw materials. I don't know, this is probably industry secret. So do you provide any raw materials for the rest of 2 companies we have here, Sinopharm and Fosun Kite? You don't?
Honestly, as to my knowledge, maybe we do not have so much close collaboration, but that's also the meaning of this meeting, that maybe in the future we can have more collaboration.
Yeah, that is why we have this panel discussion here, and also the platform of Beyond Expo. I think probably that could be conducive to the collaboration of different companies. Yeah, that's a very interesting topic over here. I hope that it will help. And now let's move on to Mr. Jin Song over here. So I have this question, very interesting one: revenue versus innovation. Which one do you think is more important?
Thank you
very much for asking that question. Well, there are a lot of thinkings around this point: revenue, innovation, which is more important to a company, which is on top of others, the other. I do believe that pharmaceutical companies pay a lot of attention to revenue and the steady growth of revenue. But I have to say the steady growth of the revenues should be solidly based on innovation. My company is an innovation-based pharmaceutical company. So from my point of view, I do believe that science and technology can create value. It is one of the core principles we adhere to. I believe that the idea of science and technology creates value. It is a very good explanation of the relationship between revenue and innovation. We should put these 2 targets together, commit resources to innovative efforts to make sure that there is a qualitative improvement over our staff, over the medical devices, science and technology. Well, last year we invested 3.2 billion yuan into our R&D activities. That accounted for 16% of our total revenue, and that represents a 35% of the increase in R&D spending. We are increasing our R&D investment and funding over the years. In the key therapeutic areas, our innovative products account for 50% of the total products in the portfolio pipeline, and our innovative drugs will register more than 10 billion RMB, 10 billion yuan of revenue. Innovation is the source of corporate development, and revenue is the result of innovation. So we must build our revenue on innovation. That is the way to ensure the long-term sustainable development of the company. And eventually, innovation will be able to facilitate more innovative efforts and result in the future. There's no contradiction between innovation and revenue. Innovation is the source, revenue is the natural result. As a company, well, these 2 points must be organically integrated in its overall corporate strategy to ensure that the company is solidly built on innovation. That's my personal point of view. Thank you.
Actually, they should be combined, right? And it will create, and according to Sino Biopharm's 2022 interim results, in 2023, as I said just now, revenues from innovative drugs are expected to surpass 10 billion. I mean, that's some big bucks. And I have this question for all of you three. So when it comes to sustainable development, I think that is very important. I know a lot of money will be invested in R&D, research and development. In the meantime, it will generate some, revenues. And then how can you make sure that you can balance the revenue, and also in the meantime, you can make sure that high quality and inexpensive medicines are available for all of the patients for you. So let's go to Mr. Huang Hai over here.
Oh, I like the questions. As a pharmaceutical company, even we as a cell therapy company leading this area, I think our vision and mission is saving patients' lives. So what the cell therapy can do is Yescarta saving more patients. So under this, we are lucky because of the Fosun Pharma. They have the global view. They select the cell therapy as an investor, be the JV. So I invest in this area. Then also during the COVID challenges, they make us have a plan B, invest another manufacturing site in Shanghai. It means we want to serve and cover more patients. As a blood cancer, the first have significantly survey for the patients by the cell therapy. We are now saving at least, I think, close to 300 patients. So it means our focus on saving patients' life and our expand our site, invest this area is very, very important to cover more patients. So linked to Macau's meeting, what we are thinking about, not only in mainland China, we also build a lot of the sites to treatment patients close to Macau in Guangdong and even in Shenzhen cities. We can give the service to the patients. So I think it's good for us to think about how to balance the innovation and how to balance the benefit, the margin. The most important is saving patients' life. Thank you.
Yeah, a very quick question for you. I know that at the end of May this year for your company, over 80 treatment centers in China offer this treatment, as you said, CAR-T cell therapy. Is this growing as fast as expected? Any difficulties in promoting this type of cancer treatment at this point?
Thank you for the question. Actually, we not only build the numbers now in the 80 hospitals, but this year we will cover 80 hospitals. Yes. Okay. This year we will cover 150. Each of the top province, top hospitals, they have the cell therapy. And this is the first. We want to make the coverage and serving more patients. It achieve our goals. This is the first. And the second, we not only set the treatment center, we build the global stand. So even beyond the global stand, we have a globally third-party certification companies to training the system to help the hospital build the global stand, how to set the cell therapy center. So it's another even beyond the therapy, even beyond the currently what affordability is beyond we are developing this area because cell therapy is different versus other therapies. The third is we all want to serve not only mainland, but also Hong Kong and Macau. So this is why in Hong Kong, in Shenzhen, we build 3 center of excellence, focus on treat Hong Kong patients. And in Guangzhou, we have Huaqiao hospitals, even Guangdong, a lot of the big hospitals, is the top 5 hospitals to serve Hong Kong and Macau. So it means it's also, I think, align Fuxing International. They want to be 2 parts. Firstly, the mainland, and another is globally. So it's I think it's really align our mission.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Definitely it is expanding. And now I have this question, the same question for Dr. Xu Dongmei over here. So what do you think should be done to make sure that inexpensive medicines can be available to all patients?
Okay, actually, I think the 2 leaders already mentioned a lot. I think from market perspective, first of all, I think our mission is always to doing the first-in-class or best-in-class drug to serve our patient. And secondly, I think is how to balance so I think the price is related to how many patients we can serve and how good of this drug, and then how is the cost of the entire development R&D development process. So from that perspective, actually Merck have very accurate models to calculate that. So when we want to develop one molecule and we have appropriate indication implant, and then we will have very accurate model to forecast. So what will be how many patients we could benefit, and how should be the price we could have. Also, we need to considering the entire the cost and also the upcoming revenue. So back to that, and I think it's also very linked to the regulatory requirement in each country, which linked to how is the development cost, linked to how is the sample size, and how we could design the clinical trial. So, and also how will be the country level or regional level of reimbursement policy. So I think it's a super complex topics, but I think what we can do as R&D people is we're trying to deliver the best and first-in-class drugs and to really serve the unmet medical need. So this is what we can do. And also from company level, we are trying to reduce the profit and also to do our best to serve as more patients as we can with the lowest price that we could do.
Okay, so based on your experience, a quick question, follow-up question. What's your expectation on the reform and progress of drug review and approval in China? I know that you have been doing this for quite a while.
Okay, maybe starting from the lady first. Okay, so actually from market, I think thanks for the last 5 years of regulation revolution. So I think if we have already a lot of changes compared to 5 or 7 years ago. So now we have a pretty fast CT review stage, and the NDA review is also much accelerated than before. But I do think that from the NDA review stage, we still have room to further improve. This is one. Another one actually also related to the drug review. This is not only drug review, but also we have the CMDE for all the different device and technical review. For that point of view, I think also we still have much room to further improve. And also from we do have a lot of green channels and for different criteria of therapies, but I'm still expecting in the future we could have more and more. For example, more disease will be listed in the rare disease list, and more drugs, especially for we really have an urgent medical need, could also be listed in the list, and then we can leverage all those kind of policies to benefit as more patients as we can.
Yeah, how about Mr. Jinsong? The same question for you. You have 30 seconds. Sorry, the time is quite limited. How about you when it comes to drug review and approval?
好，谢谢主持人。这个
Well, thank you very much for the question. Well, this is a very good question. Well, actually, I visited Director Kong in CDE to understand some of the latest development of the policies. But I agree with what Madam Shi just said. Well, indeed, talking about the speed of approval, well, I think the Chinese standard is catching up with international standard, and there is a significant improvement over the administrative approval of the drugs in China. CDE has issued more than 400 policies or directives directing the review and approval of the drugs that provides the regulatory frameworks for the pharmaceutical companies to follow. Of course, there is much room for improvement. Basically, there are 2 points. First of all, I think there should be a full integration of ICH so that the Chinese standard will be compliant with the international standard. With the unification of the domestic standards with the international standards, that will help to accelerate the rapid launch of some novel drugs and new drugs. The second point is that there should be more there should be a significant increase in the financial resources and personnel in CDE. In the United States, the FDA has some more than 7,000 people reviewing and approving all types of drugs. In China, the number is only 700. We got only 700 headcounts to do, well, approximately the same amount of workload as their counterparts in the US do. So we need to increase the headcount, increase the resources for CDE in order to speed up the review and approval process.
Enterprises, but also some government policies. And how about Wang Hai? The last question to you, the same question, and you have 30 seconds. And sorry, the time is quite limited. We're running out of time now. How about you when it comes to drug review and approval?
I fully agree with Mr. Jing and Ms. Shi mentioned. First, I think NMPA and the CDE did a lot of great job, especially for our country. From China, we want to focus and we speed our innovative pharmaceutical areas. So a lot of the leads on the table, but the resource still need to increase, especially for the headcount, for the CDE, for NMPA, a lot of the department. And the second is I think from overall the China, or not only mainland, but Macau and Hong Kong, now CDE approval drugs cannot execute in Macau and Hong Kong. I think we need from the CDE and NMPA approval one drug. They also can cover Hong Kong and Macau market. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much to the three of you. Thank you for today's discussion. Wonderful and good stuff. And once again, that is Mr. Huang Hai, CEO of Fosun Kite Technology, and also Mr. Jin Song, Vice President of Sino Biopharm, and also Dr. Xu Dongmei, Vice President and Head of Merck R&D China. And hopefully that this discussion, the panel discussion, will be conducive to the collaboration among the three companies of yours. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
OK, thank you，谢谢，
谢谢。
再见。
I'm with Deloitte here in China. I'm the lead partner for our life science industry, and I have the pleasure to moderate this morning a roundtable that's been called "Using Big Data to Improve Healthcare Efficiency." With that, I have a very interesting and distinguished panel with me. Let me start off with making quick introductions for everyone. We have Dr. Evelyn Bishop, starting with the lady on the panel. Evelyn is a professor at the Shanghai University of Medicine, and as well in Tel Aviv. And then she also practices and teaches at Renji University Hospital, Jiaotong, here in China. And she's also a physician at Human Longevity Incorporated, a company that's actually engaged and pioneer in human genome sequencing efforts. And I'm sure she'll have lots of things to say on that. Then we have Alex Zavalankoff. Alex is the founder and CEO of In Silico Medicine, a clinical stage AI-powered biotech company. He's also professor at Buck Institute and research on aging. He raised several hundreds of millions of dollars for his various businesses and companies, and authored 160 peer-reviewed papers, as well as a number of theoretic programs that are all about discovery in human clinical trials. And he will, I'm sure, share a lot on his company and how they work with others and how platforms can help drug discovery going forward. And then my third panel member is Mr. Li Yingwei. Yingwei is a co-founder and chief scientific officer at iCarbon X Incorporated. He's also professor at the University of Surrey. And he's done a lot of research around data-driven genomics, system medicines, and how computerized systems and tools can help healthcare efficiency going forward. With these introductions being said, I have a first very generic question just to kick it off and make it easy for everyone. I mean, the topic of the day is around big data and improving healthcare efficiency. So I guess to each of you, maybe share with our audience here today when we see that big data is helping research, trials, various patient applications, but as well as distribution and drug access. So considering your background, how do you see opportunities and scenarios going forward, and how big data can actually help the healthcare efficiency going forward? Maybe Alex, can you start and give some view on that?
Sure, happy to. So first of all, AI is now commoditized and demonetized. So is big data. So the term has been around for now about 10 years, well, maybe 8 years after the deep learning revolution has started. And it penetrated on pretty much every area of healthcare, from the very early stage discovery, where you try to identify the protein target or decipher the mechanism of disease, all the way to the clinic, where we're targeting the therapeutic towards a specific patient, and all the way to even prevention, identifying the early signs of disease, exploring the mechanisms of aging, and exploring how we become frail over time. So AI is not anything new. We've got many different types of AI, from very primitive feed-forward deep neural nets to very advanced generative models and transformer neural networks that are nowadays used to generate this beautiful art based on textual descriptions that are filling out your news feed constantly. So all of these techniques can be used as Lego blocks
medical care. That's one thing that I think the most immediate outcome from the so-called big data or AI that are helping people like the imaging reading, this and that. But however, I believe the most valuable part from the healthcare big data is actually not on the practice part. It's more on the research part, because life is a very complex system that we, I believe that we could only use the big data or AI technology to really decipher that. So back to the biotech research and development, if we want to really develop new novel biomarkers, if we really want to understand new targets, and we're trying to get new molecules, no matter it's a small molecule or a biological big molecule, or even gene therapy or cell therapies. I believe for that part, the biotech, biomedical development parts, I think it's about the right time. It's about right time that people should really put the new biomedical data and research data into this process. I think that's a second part that as a big data in healthcare would do. And there are third part is actually also mentioned in Alex. This is about aging, or in general health. In CARMAX, we have a different view from the so-called healthcare. We believe medical care is very different from healthcare, because healthcare is actually trying to preserve people's health so that you can prevent disease from happening. And medical care is actually trying to treat a problem that is already diagnosed in people. So the healthcare actually requires much more dimensions in data. You need to actually record people's basically everyday life, how they eat, how they sleep, how they exercise. That's a much wide range in people's life, and I believe that the healthcare big data, the term of that is actually being widened into this area. So I believe with the big data and AI being applied in a more generic way in our society, I think that we will reach an ultimate goal that we can actually use all of this data to help people to preserve health state, and to help with the aging problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Yingwei. That's the concept in separating healthcare and Medicare and focusing on the prevention. I'm sure, Eva, you with your hat of physician, I'm sure you have as well a view here. I heard him saying that data is more research versus practical, but what's your thoughts here?
Well, I definitely would agree on the point that sick care and healthcare are getting now a big, let's say, crystallization where we are pretty clear now about where is the difference, and that both parts are important. So coming from both ends, right? Extreme ends, being an oncologist in palliative care partially, right? An ICU, and then also longevity medicine physician. I kind of touch both, and I think still both are very important. We are already able with the sick care, with treating diseases, and with the part of the simple prevention, so diagnose early diseases, able to extend life, which led us to the problem of silver tsunami, and then gradually development of the field of longevity medicine based on gerosciences, aging research, mechanisms of it, and then really into the very deep granularity in understanding individual health of a person. And that includes, of course, now also the mining of big data. I would say a new generation of big data that would be longitudinal, clean, as inclusive as possible on as many potential biomarkers as possible, so as many factors as possible, starting from the omics all the way through the organs, through the cells, organ systems, up the point of also factors outside of patient or a person that is influencing the epigenetics, and of course the mental and neurocerebral health. So we see that there is a huge number of extremely multimodal heterogeneous data. And I believe there is no way that human intelligence can make as good algorithms and trajectories out of this data. So we need a symbiosis. I think we see that already in the practice. So it's not something that will happen. It's something that is right here. It's a momentum, and practically we are already using a lot of AI in the practice that was built on big data. So absolutely, I agree that it is important to have immediately the use of big data to mine better cohorts and biobanks, and also in the medical practice to be more prudent to implement AI as a support system, right, for the symbiosis of human intelligence and artificial intelligence, and it's also happening. So I would hope that not only in the research, those technologies and those databases will be useful, but also in the practical, clinical, aspect or areas, and especially also in this new nascent field of healthy longevity. And that's, again, also happening. We are living the momentum. So it's really the best time to discuss it, as we are doing here, and discuss it in an interdisciplinary way. So having research people, AI, computational sciences, and clinicians being together with all the other players in the field is so crucial.
Thanks, Eva. Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less from you, putting it into the practice as well. I mean, I can't stop myself living here for 20 years already in China, that when we speak about big data, and I guess particularly these days here, it raises a question to me when data becomes really the oil of yesterday, I would say it this way. What is your views on how this health data should be actually accessible, open, or really treated as national treasures or secrets? Maybe Yingwei, I want to hear from you first on this.
Yeah, as a researcher, I'm very happy with all these regulations. To be sincere, however, I see this actually in a positive way. The key is now, I believe it's very good that all of the business silos, including governments, they realize that data is actually an asset. So it's very important because for us, most of the time we are very we're very limited to the data that we can access, and it's lots of data are actually lost during the whole process. So I think in the future, it's very important that all of the data can be connected as life goes, which is not happening today. So we can say that we have lots of wearable devices, this and that. However, from my business practice, actually, people are still very reluctant to wear this and that devices because they're not, that smart enough. So I guess for the whole of society to realize that data is an asset, and people starting to they are getting their own data assets that actually will help the whole research area and the business area to start to really gather the meaningful data assets and to use that and to generate good insights and to apply that in a good way. So although I think no researchers really likes the heavy regulations on data, but from the whole society point of view, I still see this the positive way. At least people start to aware that, okay, so here is very, very invaluable asset that is called data, and people should start to get their data. Everybody's data, they got some very big value, and people's data could help each other because we can help each other with our own data. So that's actually the very positive information I believe they're trying to convey.
Yeah, thanks, Yingwei. Alex, I mean, your company, I would, I guess, summarize that one of your business streams is actually using the data and giving it to others or working with others on data. So, I mean, you make that asset really worth for your company. So what is your view on how open that should be and how transportable data should be in this world these days?
Well, of course, I have the view as any researcher in biomedical sciences. I would want to see as much data to be open as possible and publicly available, publicly accessible, especially healthcare data. So people often have the misconception that the healthcare data can be used in a very malevolent way and can be hurtful to the individual. So far, since the human genome has been deciphered and published since the early 2000s, in 20 years, there were only very, very few cases where healthcare data was used for anything that was damaging. So currently, by the time I finish talking, there will be many, many cases where somebody's identity will be stolen, if somebody has access to your passport information or your credit card information. So that is much more sensitive data and people are hurt. But so far, nobody has seen a case where somebody's genome was stolen and the person was hurt. So most of the time, the healthcare data can be used only for very good purposes, right? So for discovery. And many governments early recognized the value of having this data to be in the open, especially the US government. We need to give them the credit. In the late 80s and 90s, they made a lot of public information available. So from research papers, so many of the research papers are now available through PubMed, including the data that is associated with those research papers. And we have calculated at Insilico that approximately $2 trillion worth of data, and we are following just the grant funding that the government is giving to the researchers around the world. Governments, of course, the National Institute of Health is the major funding body. So approximately $2 trillion is available for training, just from the grants perspective. And I think before we touch any data that is proprietary human data, you need to demonstrate the ability that your algorithm can perform very, very well on openly accessible public data. And there is massive repositories of this data, right? So that's why we publish so much at this point in time, right? We try to publish approximately 1 to 2 research papers a month, showing that the algorithms can perform very well on openly accessible data. And coming from PubMed and other data sources, of course, Gene Expression Omnibus, it's a huge repository, publicly available. And there are many, many other repositories. For example, the UK Biobank in the UK is probably the best and the first large-scale multi-omics, multi-data repository that both companies and researchers can access from all over the world. And that set the gold standard for how many data types can be integrated. You can train AI on this data. And afterward, you can use incremental data in individual countries from individual patients within the frameworks of the regulation in those countries to improve your algorithms. Also, another important technology that is currently available is called federated learning. So you can actually train AI models locally in each hospital and then just share those models around the world by fully anonymizing the data and also completely eliminating the individual aspect of data. So you just train the model, and then you can actually even share the features from this model already pre-processed. So the data collection and data processing can be done at the hospital without sharing the data, the personal information of the patients. So those technologies are available. We have a policy that, for example, in China, we do not use human data at all, right? So you can actually use publicly available data. And in our case, we do drug discovery. So much of our data is animal data, and animals do not care whether their data is being shared or not. In some countries and regions, we need to be very, very careful with the data because the regulation is nowadays very strict, and you don't want to even touch the data very often. And very often you don't need to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Alex, thanks. That's very insightful. Eva, when it comes to you as a physician, and I heard you speaking a little bit about data will make healthcare, of course, more personalized, right? What about, I mean, what is your view on whether the more and more higher use of big data in healthcare, is that actually also giving more equity, to people, or actually because of data and systems behind that make it too expensive and less scalable? What is your view on that?
Mm-hmm. So thank you very much for this question. I'm grateful that I'm being asked this question a lot, because I see coming from let's say a little bit more of a conservative healthcare / sick care systems, where we have a lot of inequities, all the way from sex, gender, ethnicity, through, of course, social status. I think in this new era of a better healthcare, of a more individualized, personalized healthcare, we will have a much higher level of equity if we have more inclusion from scratch on, and I do see that inclusion. So, for example, in the use of big data, there is already very good efforts to include all the factors that normally in the older times we would not automatically see being included. This is why, for example, in so many guidelines, we do not have directives for people over 65, simply because they were excluded from those trials. We don't see guidelines for pregnant women, for women in general, very often, for many ethnicities and minorities, and so on. So all those things can be solved in such a great way with AI. And there is also great efforts without too much of a debate, but more practical in how to conduct really responsible AI research for medical fields with inclusion of all those factors. I've been working a little bit, I've almost a decade, also on the inclusion of biofactors and biomarkers such as sex and gender, biological ones in internal medicine. And once the train is already running, it's very, very hard to stop it and to hop on it or to add a wagon on it. Here we are really shaping the train, slowly rolling. So it's a very good and positive thing that it's happening. I'm often also asked, can everyone access a good healthcare and monitor themselves, mine their own data, or is it only for those who are more successful in their personal wealth? I believe that everybody can now monitored to a level that very reasonable data can be obtained, that can also really support individual optimization of a health span and performance. And this is happening. This ecosystem is right in place. And of course, as both of the speakers said here, I am a big proponent of the use of big data, both for the training of AI algorithms, for in clinical trial simulations to actually also then predict which trials will make sense, which not, to really accelerate the end phase of what is needed to be implemented in the clinic, which are the randomized clinical trials, so that we can have a good validation, good evidence base, and then ultimately also good guidelines and a more individual approach for the patients.
Okay, thanks, Eva. I mean, time is flying. We just have about 5 to 6 minutes left. I'd like to move a little bit into the outlook now. And I think you, Alex, you started off with saying AI, and I think Yingru as well, is AI is commoditized these days. So I guess my question would then be, what is next? What's next on the plate to improve, further improve the efficiency of when we use big data in healthcare and for the benefit of patients, improving the general status of health and working more on prevention rather than treatment. Yingru,
Yeah. So back to the original question. There is so we are all talking about how to use this data, but from our business practice, we are serving thousands of customers. They are actually paying to generate their own personal big data, multidimensional, multi-omics, this and that, to monitor their health state, and we are giving their interventions and to help them to aging more slowly. So in my point of view, other than all this research, all these technologies, it's very, very important that to improve the public awareness of the importance of health data. So they are people. Everyone is actually the real source for data generating. So that is a critical step that for all these technology developments or regulation developments or whatsoever. So I think the first thing is the public awareness. That if it's not but it's certainly one of the most critical questions that all of the industry should start to address with the governments. So that's the first thing. So on the technology part, I think it's we are far beyond that we are leading. However, I think for the technology parts, because we haven't really seen really big data from billions of people with multi-omics. So I think there are lots of challenges on computing. Maybe we need more advanced technologies, this and that. But for that part, I think still with all of the research scientists and engineers, I think that's quite a solvable problem. And third part is actually from the public sector, that they should realize that this is a trend that no one could stop. So I think so we should doing regulation in use that in good deed way, rather than this is something really dangerous. So that's my view.
Okay, Alex, what's your view on what's next?
What's next? I think that nowadays, when you already demonstrated that you can generate really valuable insights and products from data, so we've discovered novel therapeutics utilizing the data. Those therapeutics are extremely valuable. So now you are looking at more incremental advances in the amounts of data, the way you process it, the way you generate it. So I would say three major trends. I, of course, can name many, many others. So one is synthetic data generation from already existing data. So nowadays, just like you can use and create art, use AI to create art from text, you can now generate different data from with the desired properties. So you basically have generative data generation, synthetic data, or what you call digital twin. And nowadays, you can also have many, many different data types together. You can generate additional data types that the system has never even seen, right? And data types, not just incremental data. So I think that this is a major trend, and also in AI. So many algorithms are focused on generating much higher quality data, and those algorithms start understanding the fundamental human biology in time. So we've made quite a bit of progress in that area. Second, robotics. So the integration of AI and robotics is a big thing. So I spent the last 2.5 years building, well, designing, and now we're finalizing probably one of the world's, or if not maybe the world's most advanced target discovery, target validation lab, where we can generate really high quality deep phenotyping and gene expression, protein expression, methylation data types, including also deep phenotype multi-omics response to a variety of drugs, to a very large scale libraries, including the libraries that we synthesize ourselves using AI. And some of those labs can be 100% driven by AI. So there are no humans. No humans do not even get into those labs. And the third trend is China in general. So I am very, very passionate and bullish and hopeful about China. I think that now this region, so Greater China, has advanced so much that it is unstoppable. There are millions of scientists that can perform really amazing research at very high level. So in many areas, China is not behind, China is leading. Very often, they do not get really good ideas, so to speak, with a very big vision that does not return, the funding immediately. But once those ideas get into that region, they become products. So basically, that's the region where dreams come true. Okay. And in that region now, what you see is very similar to IT in the early 2000s. Now you can have designed in California, synthesized and tested in China because of the massive contract research organization infrastructure. So I think there will be many drugs coming out of China and servicing everybody on the planet. And that's actually the way to fix this geopolitical tension right now. So once everybody on the planet starts using China-designed, China-developed drugs to treat diseases, people will understand that collaboration is much better than competition.
Okay, Alex, thanks for that final and third view. Last but not least, Eva, but beyond what's next in your view, I also would like you to really ask what would be your dream to have when it comes to big data and improving health for people? What I mean, final words here.
Sure. So my vision, it also includes some of the dreams, right? And I think we need to be dreamers to advance anything and achieve at least a part of what we are really aiming for. And I think all of those efforts that were just mentioned are fueling into what my hope is in the medical field of best exploitation of big data, AI, and everything that is enforcing big data usage for the best. I think for me, it's really bringing all those innovations and inclusion of more and more data that is also at the same time being mined in a much better way, in a much more structured way, in a much more collaborative and coordinated way, without competition, without an over abuse of regulation and debates in some fields, and to use it to then it's really again very narrow as narrow as one individual at a specific point of time, to really be tridimensional, to really to have tools for a physician and partially also for a person to have tools to individually optimize the health of that specific person as early as possible, hopefully already at birth, when the aging is actually starting. And secondly, also to have a better access and accessibility of all those interventions to people. So I think big data will ultimately lead to the point that there will be ways developed by great engineers and scientists, as we see here, to have those solutions at home. One of the dreams is really to have your own pharmacy, right? And that you say good morning every single morning and give a sample of something that is very minimal interventional, such as urine or saliva, and to have the drug, the supplement, the specific target that the person is needed synthesized right there. And of course, I'm very passionate about the development of aging targeting substances and interventions. So, and I think for this, we are no way around big data. So,
Eva, thanks a lot for this final remarks here. I'd like to thank the panel. I mean, certainly my big takeaway, or I guess what we would take as a conclusion would be that with big data, and I think you, Eva, said this, the new era has started, and actually big data should actually enhance health equity, so to say, going forward. So I think that's very mindful and positive outlook. So with that, many thanks to the panel members. Appreciated you chatting with me this morning or this afternoon, and all the best. And I'm sure we'll have maybe new opportunities going forward to see each other. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and great seeing everybody. Hi, Eva.
Thank you very much for your attention on this session. This is a founder talk session. Each year, we have many distinguished guests from large corporations, but this year we want to have a change, not just those large corporations, but also startups, unicorns, and entrepreneurs, founders. We want to bring them to our platform. Today, we have the privilege to have a founder, Mr. Wanshu Hao from Xtalpi. We don't have very much time today, so let us give the floor to you to talk about your company. Thank you very much, Lu Gang, for your invitation. Excelpi is a drug discovery driven company. We started on the campus of MIT in 2015, and now we've become one of the most influential companies in the world using AI to do drug research and discovery. And basically, AI will become an infrastructure for drug discovery. So I graduated from CAS with a PhD, and I did my research on quantum physics and chemistry at MIT. I saw from your website something that really caught my eye. People in your company intro, you mentioned that AI, automated experiments, quantum physics, and many different interdisciplinary things. So from your perspective, can you talk about what is AI drug discovery? What's the underlying logic? Thank you for the question. So first of all, we need to figure out what is AI before we figure out what is AI drug discovery. So from our perspective, AI is all about connecting and sharing, connecting computing power and sharing data across the world so that more companies are becoming more and more open about data sharing. So this is a spirit of sharing. So this is the essence, the spiritual essence of AI. And specifically, it's reflected in algorithms, feedback systems, and computing power. And in terms of AI drug discovery, what is it? It's all about using AI algorithms to help us understand structures such as AlphaGo 2, so that compared to traditional chemistry, looking at hundreds of millions of molecules, we can do a lot of predictions of properties and then form a feedback system. This is what AI can help us do. So that's our interpretation of the essence of AI drug discoveries. This is a new paradigm. Instead of relying on humans to do drug discovery, we can use a huge computing power and algorithms to do more effective drug discovery and development. From the past couple of days, forum sessions,
都对人工智能在药物研发这个领域里面充满了巨大的这个期待。当然也可以看到是一个在药物行业，它是一个必然的趋势。就药物行业这个数字化、自动化、智能化的升级，人工智能进入药物行业的大门已经打开了。当然，它不是一蹴而就的，它会是有一个过程。
我们待会儿可能再多花点时间再谈谈这个，就金泰这个行业里面怎么处于一个怎么样前沿的这个位置啊。然后我接着刚才一个话题，您谈到你的一个背景，然后我再看公司的这个介绍来说，金泰科技的一个使命就是要让人工智能 AI 流畅在每一款这个新药的这个所谓的血液里面，所以让患者更快的能够得到有效治疗。所以让我特别感兴趣说，作为一个创始人啊，您创业的时候，这个怎么想到说要去做这件事情？因为好像你也不完全说是在这个大健康这领域里面的，你怎么会想就要做这样的一个事情？
对，所以呢，很多时候这个有很多的机缘巧合啊，就是跟个人背景啊，跟你所处的当下，我们创业的那个时间点啊，在波士顿都有很多的关系。像我自己当时呢，我刚到美国的时候，我是一个至亲，也是因为癌症去世啊，当时就经历过一个给这些亲人呢、病患带去希望，但是最终啊，就是也是最后他还是离开这个人世啊。那当时就是关注到这个药啊，一直好的药物，它确实可以，特别是癌症些药物，它是可以把人从生死边缘拉回来。第二个就是我也关注到为什么一个药的价格会那么贵啊，就是一般一款。
您继续吧，刚才好像断了。
刚才断了一下，对，但是呢，我就说 这个背景呢，就是一是家里有亲人的这个患了癌症，那后面呢又
Well,
是
actually, the background is that there were family relatives died of cancer, and later on we found that the cancer drugs are very expensive. The cost for the development of that drug will take 10 years and billions of US dollars.
后来研究生了，那里面我们就说，确实，药物研发很难，为了要驱动创新，它的药。
So after thorough investigation, we found that the cost of the R&D of a new drug is really, really very high. So we decided, we started to think if there's a way to reduce the cost for the development of new drugs. So I got some personal experience of the high cost of drugs, and in Boston, most of the CEOs of pharmaceutical companies saying that well, basically we've exhausted all the drugs that are easy to develop. Now we have to invest real money to develop the drugs that are very difficult to discover and develop. Well, as I told you, I'm a physics student, so I can regard everything, no matter whether it's pharmaceutical products or human being, as a compilation of molecules or atoms. So physically, physically we can interpret the the functions of a molecule of a medicine. We can use mathematical formulations to describe how a medicine or how a pharmaceutical products function in human bodies. So as I said, we got I got personal experience. I have industrial experience. That really encourages me to do what I'm doing right now. Well, actually, our company has achieved quite a number of milestones in the past couple of years. If you're not familiar with the health industry, you're not familiar with your company, but well, the listener shows that the C round funding you got about you're invested with a total of more than 300 million US dollars, and your company is an award-winning company. So I just wonder what keeps your company really at the forefront of the industry. You are very modest in describing the business or the basic information of your company, but what it seems to me that your company is collaborating with almost all the pharmaceutical companies in the world. So tell us, what's the biggest factor that contributes to the success of a company? We're pretty lucky, indeed. We're pretty lucky. Back in 2015, well, most of the leading companies in this industry started in 2015. Well, in the past couple of years, we raised about 800 million US dollars. Well, I would say, yes, indeed. Well, the top 20 pharmaceutical companies have established collaborative relationship with my company. Well, we reviewed the path towards success. I think there were a couple of 4 factors. Well, quantum physics and biochemistry. Well, I would say that since we got very good technologies to provide very stable algorithms for our customers, I think that's one factor is contributing to our success. Secondly, we're prepared for the future trend of the pharmaceutical industry.
AI 想出来的分子是能否以最高效的实验的方式反馈给 AI。
So by the developing of the AI systems, we need to design the algorithm that enable the AI to do the experiment in the quickest way possible. Well, this year, well, the development of robot or AI is pretty hot. Now we have a total of 500 or even 600 farmer robots, which makes makes my company a leading company in this industry.
energy participation 的这算法，再到现在机器人这套系统，我们都会，哪怕我有300台机器人，我就要做300台机器人的这个市场的生意，我会让这客户啊，反过来我就一定要去签订单，跟客户合作，反过来驱动我。
The other contributing factor to our success is that we go relentlessly after our customers, custom market, your preparedness for the future, your baseline technologies. Well, these are some of the dimensions that can explain, well, the success of my company.
刚您提到，其实金泰在这个领域实际上在不断研发，在开发自己新的技术。其实从另外一点，就我也看到说，而且上次我们见面的时候，实际上您也聊到了，其实金泰也在做一些投资，而且投的
actually, a terminal company is doing some sort of investment.
但是就是那从投资角度，其实您而且
from an investment point of view, well,
有些公司其实现在已经做得非常大了。
well, it seems to me that some of the investees are doing pretty well.
看什么样角度去做？
So when you make investment decisions, what is your criteria in the selection of your business partners, especially when it comes to startup companies?
它的核心就是一定是主营业务是这后面的这个最主要的驱动力啊。
Our main business is the main contributor to our revenue or business growth. That's for sure. Well, let's say we're trying to.
So we want to make sure that we want to lower the barrier to drug development. So we want to be able to benefit more biological pharma companies so that they can develop more drugs and benefit the entire industry. And to be able to do that, we were able to develop and incubate a number of ecosystem partners so that we can, they can also feed back to the industry and be able to get returns from this. And there's a lot of unmet needs in the industry. To give you two examples, a company called Meta, which does self-immunology, and also another company that works on stomach cancer. This is a company with huge market value. It's a very small startup, which is makes it very hard to gain access to early rounds of funding. So within 1 year, we helped them get a lot of funding. I think they're doing great things, and their founders are also have great expertise. They have a lot of experience in medical practice, and they also had published 5 or 6 articles in Nature, and they're also first top-ranking top-ranking researchers in their respective fields, so that we can help them scale. And also another company, Matis, that is also doing AI medicine delivery system. So within 3 years, they gained several rounds of funding, and they were able to grow 50 times or 100 times faster than before. So we're able to develop help to grow these companies. I think the most important thing is from a company perspective, what is your vision for Xtalpi? Will all medicines, for example, in the future be developed with the help of AI? Well, my vision for Xtalpi is to, as I said, have AI be part of every new drug. Whether it's AI, so this is a B2B process. And this is also my first vision for the company. And then secondly, we hope that all patients will be able to gain or access the right medicine to treat their disease and help companies lower their barrier for R&D and lower their cost for R&D. So we hope that in the next 30 years, whether at Xtalpi or other companies, utilizing a
更便宜的药物，最终就像所有的普通老百姓也不会再为
so that we can develop cheaper drugs.
Mm. 好的，因为我们最后还有几分钟时间啊，也想问问您的个人，其实你把金泰和团队一起把金泰崇明带
So
到现在。
you've been working with Xtalpi, and it's a major unicorn. And what is your biggest takeaway from this process, and what is your personal goal? So, as an entrepreneur, it's a process, it's very hard to so it's a long-term process. To me, I think it's very important to have a mission for the company. It's something that we need to pursue for a lifetime. And we've already chosen this direction. As long as we have the right direction, we will not quit halfway. And that's extremely important. It's not about winning or losing or to achieve financial freedom. This is the ultimate motivation is our vision for the industry. And for a business, there is lots of uncertainties in this world. So we want to seek certainty out of so many uncertainties. So that's the underlying logic. So whenever uncertainty arises, we want to be able to capture all of the certainty that we have. And from a personal perspective, like I said earlier, this is a lifelong pursuit for me, and also for my co-founders and partners. So our employee turnover is extremely low. There's only a few people who left us to pursue a postdoc plan. So this is a lifelong process for me. So this is a lifelong process for me, and it's a vision for me, and that's also very important. I think for every founder, this is the most important thing. I think time is up for today. So Thank you again, Mr. Wen, for accepting our invitation. And we hope that Beyond Expo will be a platform not just for large corporations, but also for next generation unicorns and startups. We hope that in the future, we'll be able to have you again with us, as well as even more entrepreneurs to talk together about future-oriented technology. Thank you. Best wishes for the growth of Beyond. Goodbye.
哦，那我们就可以开始了，是吗？好，大家好，欢迎来到今天的这个圆桌讨论，人口老龄化、银色经济。
Well, good morning. Welcome to this session of discussion. We're discussing the aging economy. I'm the chairperson of this discussion. My name is Zhao Wanqiu, Executive Director of the Institute of Aging Society Innovation Research at Peking University. We have with us 4 discussants. Well, the first one is Madam Mei Xueyan, the General Manager of the Charming Garden China region. The second discussant is Zhang Huifeng, the COO of Taikang Community, Taikang Healthcare Investment Holding Ltd. And third discussant is Mr. Dou from Tencent Healthcare.
然后还有一位呢是来自新加坡的嘉宾是
We have with us the fourth discussant, Janice Xie from Singapore, is the founder and managing director of Aging Asia. Well, actually, the aging population is an important issue. So my first question is, what's your point of view on this aging population issue? Well, on the one hand, the life expectation of the people is getting longer and longer. On the other hand, some people might say that the premium burden for this aging society will be mounting, and some people believe that the aging population means the disappearance of population dividends. So we can approach this issue from different angles. Some are optimistic, some are pessimistic. So I just wonder, what is your point of view on this aging population? What challenges and opportunities do we have in face of aging population?
那我们要不先请那个赵老师来谈谈怎么看待
So, Mr. Dou, can you take the first shot? Dear Chairperson, dear guests, I believe that aging population is a great rhino issue in the world. It is a big challenge, not only for China, but also for the rest of the world. Well, actually, starting from 2022, China is getting into a mildly aging society. There is a large population of aging population coupled with a lot of challenges. So in this context, it is a national policy to take active measures to address this aging population issue. And on the other hand, I would say that aging population is a demonstration of the development of human civilization. For decades, we live in a relatively peaceful world, and the improvement of the healthcare systems really improve the longevity of human beings. So that's why we can see such a great demographic change in the total population. And this changing demography will, of course, trigger some structural changes in the society, and the society aging population is a great rhino. I don't think the human being or human society is ready for the challenges involved in the aging society. Well, thank you, Mr. Dou. Thank you very much. Well, actually, it is a great rhino. It involves great challenge. Well, the second question is for Janice. You've been doing a lot of investigations and consultations and provide a lot of advisory services in Asia Pacific regions with regard to aging population. So apart from being a great rhino, what else do we have? I think the biggest challenge we need to be healthily. We need to live longer ages in a healthier status. If we want people to do daily exercise, well, for those who are aged.
Hello, yeah. 60到70岁的时候，很喜欢跟朋友一起聚会，很喜欢吃东西。可是因为我们比较富裕，我们在吃到身体的东西也是，可能不是，我觉得在其他亚太地区可能没有好好的调理身体。中国的养生基础我觉得很好，可以值得我们很多方面的学习。那另一方面就是我觉得我们怎么样科技来帮助长者，以后长者会介意。
刚才上一场和这场都出现问题了，就是我们在中文的时候全是英文，就是在全是英文，可能因为上一场全是中
文。我不太理解，我现在那个同传功能被切掉了。喂。
那我们继续吧，Janice。
英文好才是中文？
中文吧。我估计应该是翻译的问题。我们先 go on。
OK， 这些新科技，我觉得我们也看到最近中国有一个很大的robots exhibition， 怎么样用新的机器人来长者会介意以后照顾他们的都是机器人吗？我对这方面很好奇。因为我人口老化就是不够人力去照顾长者，而且如果长者活到100岁，我们怎么去找那个人力来照顾这么大群的一个人呢？那是我的意见。
是的，那个确实是我们其实过会儿第二个话题就特别想请各位嘉宾详细的介绍一下，特别是在科技时代下，又是一个很长寿的社会，到底有哪些科技是比较有望提供帮助的，哪些其实是现在还不成熟，或者说其实是逆人性的，这个我们放在第二个话题，非常期待大家的这个分享和讨论。然后刚才那个 Janice 呢提到一个非常重要的一个概念，就是健康寿命。就是确实是因为人从来没有活过这么久，然后呢包括这个退休，对吧？就以前就是活到70岁，平均寿命70岁的时候50多岁60多岁退休，后面就没多少日子了。但现在人其实可以活到80多岁很普通了，90多岁很快就90多岁100岁可能也会变得很普通。那么这个整个人生的这个规划其实是要在健康的前提下进行的。所以我相信这个健康寿命的这个延长这个概念呢，其实能够就是它会带来很多的这种机会。对，
还有再加一点就是健康和有意义的养老。我很希望各位老师也分享一下，我想听你们的意见，怎么让长者觉得他们活得有意义，每天他们起来的时候都觉得在生活上面有一种 purpose， 这样。
非常好，非常好。那这个就特别帮助我顺利的衔接到我们下一位嘉宾，因为下面的2位嘉宾都是帮助老人做健康又有意义的这个养老的。那个就是泰康之家在中国可以说是在养老服务领域的非常非常非常知名的这样的一个品牌。那很早就开始布局，那现在在很多的这个大城市都已经有泰康之家。那个张总可以给我们来分享一下，您是怎么看待这个人口老龄化趋势下的这个机遇和挑战呢？我相信泰康已经抓住了很好的机遇，但是您是怎么看待这样的一个问题？对。
好的，谢谢主持人。那我从2个方面啊，因为泰康其实最开始是一家这个保险公司啊，这个我其实原来也一直在保险公司这个工作啊，这个从保险公司的这个角度啊，其实刚才包括那个窦教授也提到了啊，其实最大的一个风险就是长寿风险 因为大家也知道，那个这个保险公司卖的保单很多是这个养老的这个年金保险，那你活得越长，保险公司就要给付的越多啊。所以当时我印象，这个曾经跟我们的精算的同事也在讨论这个未来保险行业的这个风险啊，到底是哪些风险？所以这个我是印象非常深的当然，我现在目前是在负责那个泰康之家的整个这个养老社区的这个运营确实像主持人刚才提到的泰康应该是在很早在07年其实就看到了中国未来的这个老龄化的这么一个趋势所以我们董事长应该是去年也这个出了一本书，叫这个百岁这个长寿时代。其实他的观点就是说，在那个长寿时代下面其实未来这个中国的这个人口的老龄化包括预期寿命这个包括未来，其实人人都有可能活到100岁。所以从这个角度之下，泰康确实这个目前也是全国最大的一个连锁型的这么一个养老机构当然，我们的养老社区这个刚才那个上一位嘉宾也提到怎么让老人在那个这个能够活得更快乐更健康这个我们自己的那个定位呢是三句话就是让这个老人这个叫更长寿更健康更富足其实如果能够这个实现这3个方面那老人我想肯定是很快乐的那我也介绍一下泰康的这个养老社区我们目前主要还是这个按那个1家社区1家医院所以首先从那个这个老人的这个角度这个因为就医的需求肯定是那个未来的这个在那个这个长寿的这个状况之下非常重要的，所以我们是首先是打造了医养融合的这么一个社区。第二个，我们在养老社区我们其实是有很多的也有一些那个低龄的老人因为这个也有那个这个最年轻的也有这个55岁左右的这个他为什么愿意住到养老社区？他是认为这个我们在泰康的养老社区，其实我们有很多的一些这个活动可以供老人来选择。他觉得住在那个养老社区他就那个所有的这个一些生活都能够被安排得非常好我们有很多的一些这个文娱的一些课程当然你在社区里面能够那个这个更有活力所以这个也是我们那个这个倡导的一个那个养老的一个理念当然我们也是这个有那个除了活力养老之外我们也是有那个全那个生命周期的包括那个我们也有那个护理公寓 另外那个泰康也有那个这个最终的那个纪念园啊，所以这个应该说目前的产业布局的还是比较完整的，好吧？主持人，我就先介绍这么多。
好的，谢谢张慧峰总。那个刚才咱们 Janice 提到那个健康和有意义的养老，那么因为泰康采取的模式呢，实际上是就是有老人住宅的部分，然后有就比较接近 CCRC 的模式，所以其实从健康老人的文娱活动，然后到assisted living 偏那个老人照护的部分，然后再到这个医疗，其实都是非常的有保障的。那接下来的话，我们请那个梅雪燕总给我们介绍一下 American Garden 是怎么样。因为 American Garden 其实我理解是更偏专业照护、专业护理的这个领域。那我们来听听那个梅总那个是怎么看待这个老龄化的趋势的。
好，谢谢赵老师啊。因为刚才几位嘉宾老师回答的顺序呢，从我们窦老师和 Janice 到我们张总，其实是一个由宏观到微观的过程。那魅力花园呢，我们是在美国做了30年，在中国也做了10年的养老公寓的投资跟运营管理，是直接面对我们的老人客群的。所以呢，我们当时从美国想机遇和挑战，我想从市场和老人本身的2个维度来回答赵老师提出的这个问题。首先呢，我们从市场来看，那么老龄人口呢是给我们画了一个非常庞大的未来的一个银发市场的新的需求点。它其实每一个细分市场都有自己的空间。我们做养老服务和运营的人是把60和65岁只作为一个统计数值，也就是说中国为了统计老龄人口按60岁计算，世界卫生组织为了统计老龄人口按65岁计算。实际上我们在60岁65岁以上，我们还会把老人分成60到74岁，我们叫年轻态的老年人，从74到90叫做成熟期老年人，90岁以上我们才叫真正的长者老年人。那么在这个划分之下，我们再按照医疗、照护、食品、卫生、住宅和行走、衣食住行4个方面再去切分这个市场。那么他们的医疗健康保健需求、长期照护需求、餐饮的需求、他们的养老住宅的需求、适老化的需求、他们的旅游的需求、活动的需求、再就业和这个学习的需求。那我这样一说，这个细分市场再一切分，就会觉得哇，原来这么多的机会啊，这么多的市场机会，再加上囊括全过程的一个全过程服务、金融服务、智能化服务等等，所以它其实是蕴含着很多的市场机会在里面的。那这是我看待机遇这个问题。从老人本身的机遇呢，它因为寿命的延伸，那其实它有更多的独立生活能力和空间，它可以为社会呢再去制造更多的价值，反馈社会。那从这一方面来看，我们看到的都是机遇。同时我们反向从这2个维度再来看挑战。从市场本身来说呢，我觉得有2大挑战。第一，就是目前老年人的消费能力还不足以拉动整个产业的发展。再直白一点说，就是他们的消费欲望还不够强烈，支付能力还有待提高，非常讲究性价比。所以这个是我们每一个从业者所面对的挑战。那么这个市场它目前能够提供的利润很有限。那另外呢，就是我们看到从 老人从另外一个市场的挑战就是整个的老龄化的人口，它需要一个劳动密集型的服务，所以它对能够提供服务的劳动力又是一个挑战。同时，这些劳动力还要具备一定的技能和技术。那么之前我们是没有做过任何这种准备的。那么现在开始去培养人才啊等等，其实我们作为一线的这个产业人员已经感觉到了我们这个 labor shortage， 已经感觉到劳动力这方面的缺乏。所以这个是我从市场层面来看到的2大挑战。另外从老人的层面呢，我也看就是其实有很多挑战对于老人来说，那我也总结出2个挑战。那第一个挑战呢，其实是新科技挑战因为中国的孝文化尊重老年人，它传统文化有一个根源，就是因为没有能够记录他们经验的那么多的纸笔墨，都靠口口相传，所以家有一老如有一宝，他的经验的传承是非常重要的，他的媒介它本身就是一个媒介。但现在有了这种高科技了，所以呢，就是像我们 WTO 在这个10年的积极老龄化的政策当中提出的第1条，就是要改善对老龄的歧视，因为他们觉得这老人没有那么有用了，他的经验我通过百度通过 Google 我全部都能得到。那这个时候 respect 这个时候的这个尊重，那他就会受到一些挑战和动摇。所以这个是我们看到的新科技其实对老人本身的一个最大的挑战。那同时老人自己也会觉得被社会所不能说淘汰就是说他是会去 catch up， 他会去尽力去赶上这个时代的一些发展以前他通过教课，现在他要去拍视频，要上抖音他要通过一些新媒体来宣传他的一些东西。所以这个其实是我们看到，而这些东西其实对老人自身的一个我们说他的文化自信，他的年龄自信是一个非常巨大的挑战。所以这个呢就是我从市场和老人2方面所看到的机遇和挑战。好，谢谢。
谢谢梅总非常的有条理的梳理了这个机遇和挑战的方方面面然后呢，其实我们接下来这个主题其实是要讨论高科技嘛。那么我觉得刚才梅总讲的其实也回应了最开始窦老师讲的这个灰犀牛的这个部分。那说实话，我自己就是从事养老行业也10年以上了。那么在这个过程当中，其实看到说大家都觉得有这样那样的机遇，但是由于这个消费能力支付体系还没有足够好的搭建，然后大家的消费认知还没有到那样的程度，然后特别是有提到一点，就是这个人会不足，对吧？基本上梅总说挑战就2大挑战，第一钱不够，第二人不够。然后那个人不够的这个问题包括钱不够的问题，有很多方面我们都是非常期待能够用高科技来解决的。然后包括就是这个科技飞速发展的时代，怎么样不把老人抛在后面，让他们也能够适应这个时代的节奏，也是非常重要的一个点。那接下来呢，我们就请我们今天嘉宾当中可以说是最有实力来讲这个科技时代下的这个长寿社会的窦老师来跟我们分享一下那个特别是腾讯那个近几年的这样的一个战略调整，以及在这个战略调整下成立了银发科技实验室。我想应该是有很多的这个初心，以及进行了很多的尝试的。所以那个接下来想请窦老师给我们分享一下科技时代下长寿社会如何变得更好。那个您站在腾讯的这个立场跟我们分享一下你们的看法和经验。
对，其实刚才各位嘉宾其实都谈到了这个老龄化社会我们面临的各种挑战。那其实我们都希望这个长寿能变成这个我们健康的这个长寿，这个富足的长寿。那我们能够充分的享受第3人生，那享受长寿这样一个人类文明的产物，能给人类社会带来更好的这样的一个生活。那其实各位嘉宾其实也有提到
create a better life for humanity as a whole. And as you all mentioned, technological advancements actually disrupted senior citizens' status as traditional contributors to society. So last year, Tencent adopted its fourth stage technological progression. So with that new value proposition, we upgraded from service internet to industrial internet, and now we are doing a quote unquote CBS model. And it's all about, we have a special group that's called Geron Technology Lab that's specifically aimed at developing scientific capabilities and technological capabilities to co-create solutions to benefit society and address the problem of aging society. So Geron Technology Lab is a part of Tencent's CSR efforts. We want to leverage the core competencies of Tencent to explore solutions to social problems such as aging. For example, we're leveraging AI, big data, and IoT. And then also we are working with governments, business partners, and other social organizations to address this quote unquote gray rhino issue. For example, working with Taikon and other service-based companies. I think no one can fight alone, so we need to collaborate and explore technologies and solutions that are sustainable and that are inclusive. So I'd like to just briefly share two of our products as case examples. One is a major risk to senior citizens, which is falling, tripping and falling, which can lead to injuries and even death. China's data shows that every year, 40 million senior citizens fall, and that could lead to disability. So we are working with Tencent's smart building teams and others IoT technology, especially in AR, video, and audio treatment capabilities to detect potential falls so that it's an invisible caretaker. Basically, we have two versions now. One is for institutions, which is now currently have been used in Shenzhen for over 3 years. This year, we launched a home-based version, which is for senior citizens living at home. So we believe that there is a key shortage in terms of caretakers globally. We want to be able to leverage technology to fulfill that gap. So there is this intangible technology that can detect potential injuries and falls and also alleviate the pressure from caretakers. We hope that in the future, we can work with other partners such as Taikon to develop more comprehensive solutions, because technology ultimately serves people. Also, it will enable relatives to be able to have visibility into their senior relatives' status. And on September 25, we'll also launch a new product, which is about hearing loss. In China, hearing loss is a major cause of disability, accounting for over 50%. There is more than 120 million people in China above the age of 65 with hearing problems, and it is related with various geriatric diseases. And there is very little attention actually on hearing loss. People think that naturally you lose vision, you lose hearing, and your cognitive capabilities as part of aging. So people don't really interfere or do intervention in a proactive way. We all know that wearing hearing aids is a very good intervention, but the penetration is less than 7% in China, very low. And the root cause of that is that senior citizens don't know that they can utilize hearing aids. And also, hearing aids tend to be very expensive and not covered by insurance. So it's not really affordable to a lot of senior citizens. And therefore, we are working with Tencent Meeting, which is another conference app just like Zoom, which is more used, widely used in China. And they have a AI audio technology lab. So we are working with that Tianlai lab as our partner. And we're also working with hearing aid manufacturers. And ultimately, we are leveraging the AI technology for audio, and we developed a hearing aid, a new hearing aid for the benefit of society, which will be launched on September 25. So it's improved the clarity of audio by 25% compared to traditional hearing aids. So basically, it's going to be priced at several thousand RMB instead of several tens of thousands. But it can achieve the same level of clarity. And we're also launching a WeChat mini program to help senior citizens do hearing loss detection. And we're also going to donate our new hearing aids, hoping to address this issue, this societal issue. So even though we have a lot of challenges in this aging society, technology can always be our biggest hope in addressing these challenges. And we hope that we'll be able to work with more partners around the world to leverage digitalization and technology to build more inclusive and helpful products to serve the needs of senior citizens so that people can live a longer, healthier, and more meaningful life. Thank you, Mr. Doe. You've given us a lot of confidence and hope. Basically, you talked a lot about benefiting society because, senior care is not a pure commercial business. It has a lot of element about getting back to society. And indeed, it's not going to be addressed by a single company. And you also capture these two very important points. Next up, I'd like to talk with Ms. May and Mr. Zhang. What is your response to Mr. Zhou's comments? What specific products are you seeing being applied in your business that are achieving great effects? Sure. So just now, Mr. Doe gave a very comprehensive introduction to their efforts. From my perspective, we are working on many smart senior care programs. And globally, across societies, we are seeing a shortage of investment in this industry, and the profitability is also quite weak. And we're also working with some external partners. Therefore, we need to actually increase collaboration. And then secondly, I'd also like to talk about our efforts in developing new technologies. Geron technology is quite different from technologies developed for other people. So we are developing a quote-unquote smart housekeeper. As Mr. Doe mentioned, it's more invisible and intangible. It's more of a virtual assistant for senior elderly people living at home. So we were thinking about whether it's going to be an app on a mobile phone or is it going to be part of their TV sets. And people have different views. Some people believe that not very many elderly people know how to use a cell phone. So the average age of people living in our communities is over 80 years of age, or even they could even be in their 90s or above 100 years of age. And according to our survey, the less than half of the elderlies know how to use a smartphone.
So if we offer our products or services through the mobile phone, probably 50% of the aging populations can't have access to our products or services. And later on, we started to provide digital butler through a TV screen. We offered a virtual reality featuring the dining room, and also we featuring different kinds of hospital informations through the TV screen. And some of the users want us to provide home delivery of food, and we're currently in the making of that product, as Mr. Doe has put it. I think the biggest risk for the aging population is the risk of falling. We receive this information day in, day out about the falling of aging populations, but in our Taikang community, the falling off rate of the aging population is only 6% compared to the average falling rate of the aging population of 18%. So it is very important to reduce the risk of falling for those senior citizens. So we decided to offer a product which is a warning radar installed inside a home environment. Once a resident fall off in the room temperatures, our caretaker will immediately get into the room to offer support. For those who unfortunately fall onto the ground in our caring society or aging community, we offer some recuperation services for these old people. We understand that there are a lot of medical services, medical demands from these senior citizens or old peoples. Well, sometimes when you consult, we will see medical consultations, and the doctors will require you to come back to the hospital within a certain period of time. If you're healthy people, or if you're physically able people, the revisit of the hospital is not a big problem for you. But for the old people, it will be a big challenge physically for the old people to visit hospital again and again. Therefore, we developed the remote medical consultation technologies so that we can really improve the efficiency of medical consultation without having to move the old people from home to a physical hospital. So we got a lot of products and services installed within our healthcare community or aging community in order to support the physical and mental health of the old residents in our community. Definitely, it will take the investment from different factors, from different companies, from all walks of the society to make sure that we can really enjoy our old life. Well, thank you, Mr. Zhang. Thank you very much for giving us a very detailed explanation of the products and services portfolios offered by Taikang. If we got enough time, I'd love to hear more. Well, we don't have much time left, so Madam May, I just wonder, are there any interesting applications in the American
因为刚才窦老师和这个我们张总呢都是财大气粗，都可以自己投资开发啊。那我可能代表了我们绝大多数的养老这个从业人员这一方面啊。那么对于我们来说呢，我们使用所有的高科技产品呢，我们其实主要是2点。第一点呢，就是客户的体验感，就对我们老人是不是安全便宜。那刚才窦老师说的一点，我特别支持，就普惠。那么还有呢，另外呢，一个就是说能不能提高我们的运营效率。能不能帮我们就在这个人力不足的情况下，或者是说像跌倒报警啊等等这些紧急呼叫，其实都是提高我们运营效率的这个维度去看产品的。那目前呢，因为我们主要是一个养老智能化的使用方，应该说啊，我们不具备这个能力去自己去投资开发啊，或者是科研啊等等这么多的产品。那我们可能更多的是从需求端来去看一个产品，而且我们也是一直是很开放的态度，有一些比较好的科技产品，只要是符合我们这2点以上这2点需求，我们都愿意在项目当中去尝试。而我们的长者客户也非常的开放的态度啊，愿意跟我们配合。那我提几个我们项目当中的一些应用啊，比如说像送餐机器人，那我们现在中国呢还没有完全应用，那在美国我们的120个项目上已经都开始用这种送餐机器人了。那因为相对来说，美国的劳动力成本比中国还是要高一点的啊，所以说呢，那么这种送餐机器人呢，就提高了我们的一个用工效率。那这个提高给我们提供的这个机器人的公司呢，好像是叫 Bayer Robotics。是美国的一家公司。那我们老人呢会很有意思的给这些机器人都起上不同的名字啊，有的就叫 Wall-E， 就是我们迪士尼那个动画片里的那个小机器人的名字，还有像什么 Rocky 啊、什么 Ricky 啊，反正就是等等，有的就直接用我们的公司、我们的项目的品牌名叫 Mary Gardens， 他们就直接给起了一个什么 Dairy Gardens 啊，什么就像兄弟的这种名字一样哈，就非常可爱。那么这个是一个，还有呢，像我们的智能点餐系统，那老人可以他是去之前去智能点餐的，这样有2大好处：第一，肯定是餐饮的成本控制；第2个好处呢，就是我们可以根据我们搜集到的他点菜的这种习惯，来对他的饮食的数据进行收集和分析，从而呢对我们的客户计划和跟踪啊能够有更好的这个反馈。那另外，我们同样的这种大数据的收集，我们还会对他的每天呢，我们叫 daily activities， 每天的活动。因为我们魅力花园非常讲究 lifestyle 这种生活方式的打造，那我们每天安排的活动呢，不光是要有目的性啊，有 purpose， 同时要有兴趣，同时呢，我们要有一个科学的规划。那这些我们怎么知道确实能达到我们的目的了呢？我们就会把每个老人的参与活动，他参与的类型，他的报名啊，参与的时长，能不能跟踪下来，我们都把它搜集。那这种搜集呢，如果你只是用他参加完了之后的一个反馈的平台，其实效果是不太好的。那可能老人就不太愿意反馈，或者他就口头了。那我们会通过一个前置性的，他参加活动的一个参与的这种这种 pre-booking 吧，但是它比较简单了，它直接 tick， 或者是直接让我们的工作人员去直接给他选课了，或者选活动了就可以了。那这样呢，我们就可以把它参加活动的数据搜集起来。比如说，我们发现在我们的项目上啊，那么75岁到80岁的这一部分单身男性老年人是参加活动最少的。他们喜欢参加讨论活动，但是他们不愿意参加那种，比如下棋可以智能活动和讨论活动， 不愿意
males
参
aged
加
between
体育锻炼
75
活
to
动
80, they're
啊。
reluctant
那
to
所以我
join
们
in
就
any
在体育
physical
锻炼活动上，
activities.
我们要鼓励他，或
They
者去
love to
为
join
他
in
再
some
去定制
discussion
一些
sessions. They
能
love to
够
play
保
chess
证
and
他至
cards.
少每周4个小时的这个身体平衡
So
训
we
练，
have to
预防跌倒， 还
redesign
有
our
呢就是
physical
一些康
activities
健
in
的这
order
种训练。
to
那这样的
our
话，就
sports
让我们
activities
的
in
这
order to
种各
attract the
种
male
活动会更
participants
加的有
aged
的
between
放矢，
75 to
而且
80.
确实能够
Well,
看到
these
实质
data
性
can
的
help
客
us
户
to
体验
better
的一个提
design
升
our programs
所以这个
to
是我们项目
increase
上
the
目前
attractiveness of these
用的比较多
programs.
的一些智能化的东西。
These are some
好，
of the intelligent solutions we've been using. Thank you.
谢谢那个梅总，我听梅总讲，我的
Thank you, May. So I think this lean operation is probably the best phrase to describe the way you take care of the old people living in your community. I believe that you really put in a lot of heart and love in the operation in your Mara Garden. I believe that there are a lot of other applications. We don't have time. Now I would like to give the microphone to Janice to share with us your international experience. There are a lot of caretaking, old people are taking villages and communities and real estate developers are interested in these kind of programs. In Singapore, we're doing a lot of public assisted living communities. They're funded by the government, trying to help the old people to live a healthier life and happier life. There are different caretaking models all over the world. Males are not very active in the sports activities, in group activities, but the females, they love to make friends with each other. They love to participate in all types of activities and programs. There's a lack of incentives to encourage the old people to take part in physical exercises or sports exercises. When I visit an old people community, most of these sports facilities are laid idle without being used. There is a very good model in Japan. In some assisted living community, the old people will be encouraged to do a physical exercise at least 3 hours a day, 4 hours a week. I once saw a 99-year-old female doing physical exercises in such an senile community. Well, I think it's very important to help to design some sort of program or activities that can encourage that increase the level of activities by the aging society, aging population. Well, in Singapore, we love to see that each and every old people will have at least 300 minutes of physical exercises a week. That's way above the international average. But I think ideally, we should engage in at least 60 minutes of physical or sport exercise every day for the aging population. Of course, we need good technologies to collect the data, to measure the data, to encourage those old people to do exercises. Thank you. Well, thank you, Janice, for talking about a very important topic of old people physical exercise. I'm quite familiar with the situation in Japan. They're doing a good job because there is a full-fledged systems or institutions behind it. In Shanghai, there were in Shanghai and Shenzhen, there were some startup companies that are promoting the physical exercises among the old people. Yeah, we discussed a lot of topics. We offer a lot of information. I just want each and every discussant to use one sentence to wrap up the discussion, to tell us what is the biggest breakthroughs that you're expecting in the caretaking business for the old people. Mr. Doe. let's start with you. I think technological innovation is something I'm looking forward to. I hope that technological innovation will provide solutions for the caretaking for the old people. I want all the old people to live a healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Thank you, Mr. Dou. We're also looking forward to your your senile population laboratory. Mr. Zhang?
我这可能就还是这个，因为泰康其实是大型的养老社区机构嘛，所以我如果要
Well, Taikang is a large-scale caretaking community for the old people. We offer a 24/7 caretaking services to the old people so that they can live longer, happier, and wealthier. Thank you, Mr. Zhang. And I hope your company will continue to be a leader in this caretaker industry. Ms.
好的，
May,
谢谢。 因为魅力花园主要是做城市精品养老公寓的投资和运营管理的，就像刚才赵老师抓住了我们的那个精细化的服务管理，所以呢，我们是希望能够通过精细化的养老服务，带动优质的养老资产的一个提升，从而呢，能够为更多的老年人提供一个更好的家。谢谢。
value of the caretaking asset through exquisite caretaking services. Well, thank you, Ms. May. Of course, your service needs support from technical innovation. Janice? Let's say if you want to visit China, what types of innovation you're looking forward to in the Chinese caretaking industry? Health management and caretaking. So I want to see more old people live healthier. Well, thank you. We don't have much time for elaborated discussion, but anyway, I thank you very much for your contribution, of your wisdom. That wraps up this round of discussion on aging society. Thank you very much.
好，谢谢主持人，谢谢各位老师。好，再。
岁月静好，难免会遇到风险，为自己，为家人，增添一份保障，美好生活，太平相伴。保险就是保太平。